Hello there, fellow leatherworkers. Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Primitive Survival. Episode 21, Queuing Up the Tannin Barrels. So, my protein, grain, fruit, and veggies are basically full, and dairy is not something I'm going to easily be able to fill up. Because dairy would require me to do some animal husbandry. Most of my nutrition has been, all set. That was weird. I drank water and didn't get credit for it. Whatever. Alright, I'm going to deal with the magnetite later. I got my broken bronze pickhead, which I'm going to want to probably fix. But let's get back to the... let's get back to making the cobbles for that before I do anything else. Go milk a pig. Somehow I screwed up the drag there. Alright, that's probably enough cobblestones for now. At some point I should just, like, consolidate all of my random junk into the chest I've got going on. Oh, for real? How did... No, what? Game. Can I do it in 2 stacks? No? Oh my god, so annoying. How? Wait, what? What? Okay. Math is hard for this mod, I guess. I put... So I had 6 liters of water, I put 3 in, and had 4 left. What? I don't know if you guys caught that, but, like, my brain went for a loop of, like, how do I have 6, use 3, and end up with 4 as the remainder? That damaged something up there. Understandably, I think. As I was fumbling around. Yeah, math. M-A-F-F. This mod goddamn good math. I'm sorry if you're a southerner and picked on your accent. So I apologize for that. But any consolation, I was actually born in the South, so it's me digging at myself. Alright. I would say that's probably high enough. I don't really need to go higher. And I think this back row, I might, like, make the full blocks too. I don't know. I haven't thought about that hard enough. So at this point, I would like to fix my my pick while the stuff fires up. Now, the other thing I could do is build crossbeams. Ooh, actually, maybe I like that. So what I was thinking of is... I might actually want the shingle blocks beforehand so I can tinker with them. But I would like to crossbeam the... Oh, like support beam. Build a support beam for here for the roof at some point. Because I think that would look attractive. And here you can see the difference of fertilizer. So the nutrient levels in this soil, the nitrogen went up above 50%, and then the Potassium is at 43.1, and the potassium for the other flax is at 41.1. And what it might end up happening, I doubt it, because it's small percentages, but this flax might finish before the other flax surrounding it, because it's more fertilized. I mean, by a tiny margin, but technically yes. All right, I'm obviously drinking enough water that I'm not even going to bother putting it downstairs. So, if I'm repairing my pick, I'm going to put the pickaxe head on my forge. I should, because the roof isn't set up yet, I'm not using that. And then I'm going to put the bronze bits I have in my crucible. Now, the bronze bits are workable at 475. I don't want to melt them. So, to heat up the bronze bits, I'm going to put them in wood fire. And then... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So, I'll show you the process of repairing tools. And this is the Smithing Plus mod. This is not vanilla. So I'm heating up the bits and the broken piece. And with that said, it is cheaper to not use molds with the Smithing Plus mod, because when you don't use molds, you end up getting the bits, especially if you're making something like a knife, which you'll cleave off a huge amount of material off of, like a knife or a chisel. If you're making something like a Hellhammer head, you might not get as much back. But my point is, one reason not to use a lot of my clay molds, if I can help it, they're convenient, but you don't get any pieces back as a result. So it's actually less expensive to smith it, even if it does use up hammer durability. So then we go ahead and actually, let's let that get a little hotter. And while I'm at it, I might as well fix the hammerhead. Last week I just made a new one, because I plan on having 2 tin hammerheads, or bronze hammerheads, and just like that copper one is like a super spare. And then we have these bronze bits that are heated up. So we bring over these bronze bits. If we take a look at the part here, as you can see, it's missing 5 nuggets. So I'm going to put down 1, 2, 3 of these bits on it, because each time you put down a bit, it imparts 2 nuggets. And then we just move the metal around until we have repaired the pick. And instead of having to reforge a new pick, I'm using scrap metal, scrap bronze, from previous tool makings to repair the pick. Actually, I have I put too many nuggets down, apparently. Split, done. And now I've fixed my pick. And we'll do the same for the hammer, so that I have a spare hammer. And that's the process. So you need the tin bronze bits hot. And, oh, God, where's the other hammer? There it is. So this is missing 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Or, sorry, 8. But I was counting for how many, like, nuggets that would be. So, really, really nice mod for a lot of the realism. Because in real life, like, back in this era, if you had a broken tool, you wouldn't throw it out. You would repair it. You would sharpen it. You would bring it to a blacksmith. That's essentially where the whole, like, dead as a doornail came from. Because when you're making doors, you would bend, flatten out the nail into doors, and then that would be a nail that you couldn't recover. So it was a dead nail. because often people would go so far as to burn their houses down and collect the nails, because nails were made by hand and were very, very labor intensive. A blacksmith had to forge it by hand, and you wouldn't do that if you didn't have to. So there we go. Tin bronze axe repaired 1 time. There is like the whole, you know, durability change over time. That is, so at some point it makes sense to recast new tools. So a good example, now that I have 2 tin bronze hammers. Oops, that is the opposite of what I meant to do. Here's the hammer I repaired with 712 total durability, and my new hammer was 750. So there is diminishing returns, but not a lot. Okay, at this point, we're waiting on the shingles to be done. So what next project should I undertake while I wait for that? Choice is yours. If you want me to go work on agriculture, work on hunting, work on tools, work on building. If you're wondering what to do about the iron that I have, you could vote on working on tools. So in order to process that iron, if you're wondering about the process, what I would need to do is make fire clay. So fire clay you can either find, or you can make it by heating up flint in a fire and then grinding it down into powdered flint, mixing it with your clay to make fire clay. And the purpose of the fire clay is then you make fire clay bricks that you fire in a pit kiln. And then with the fired bricks, you can make a bloomery. Because the way to make iron is you have to put it in a bloomery to fire it. You can't, it's not a metal that you put into a, you know, it's not one of the metals you put into a crucible. It's not a crucible metal. So it's a totally different process. So bronze tops out at crucible metals. I believe you can crucible gold though, if I'm not mistaken. So we could also focus on leatherworking to find borax or lime. And that would be, I think, a really smart goal too. Just to put my thumb on the scale. Are these berries getting closer to flowering? I don't see any that, well, I don't know how long it's been, but maybe not. Is making your own fire clay part of the Smithing Plus mod? No, it is not. You can in vanilla. So in vanilla Vintage Story, you can make fire clay in the process that I just explained. As you can see, these recipes do not say that they're made by mods. And then fire clay you typically find if you find brown or black coal, anthracite, or lignite in the wild. So if you find a node of black coal... Have I found black coal anywhere? I don't think I have. But if you find black coal or brown coal, you typically could find fire clay below it. Yeah, I don't... Oh, my hands... Like, yawning scared me. That's funny. So it looks like leatherworking wins by a single vote. I'm going to call... Oh, I see it's tied, but I'm going to start working on leatherworking. I'm just going to make that choice. So, the first thing we want to do for leatherworking is to make tannin barrels. So what I think I'm going to do is just do the tannin barrels, and then pivot to a new task. because trying to find limestone is like a much bigger task that will take me away from building the smithy. So for leatherworking, you need, you probably need 3 barrels. I'll be blunt. You're likely going to need 3 barrels. One is for a lime or borax wash. So I'm going to walk you through the whole process, even though I'm not doing the whole process right now. So the process of leatherworking, you can find in the guide here. And I'll explain it. It's very straightforward, even though it sounds complex. So step 1, you have raw hides from hunting. Not the pelts that I am curing right now. So what I mean by that is I am in the process of... Oh, I have pelts already. I should upgrade my backpack. But, so when you hunt, you get a raw hide. And with a raw hide, you can do 2 things with it. Well, you can do more than 2 things. But, like, fundamentally for processing, when you raw hide, you can either make it into a pelt by rubbing fats on it and letting it dry, or you can stick it in a barrel for a lime wash. So if you stick your hides in a barrel in lime water or borax water, they become a soaked hide after 24 hours. And then after 24 hours, you can scrape it with a knife and then stick it in a barrel of weak tannin for 3 days. After it goes through weak tannin, you remove the prepared hides and stick it in strong tannin for 4.5 days. And then once you're done, it will make leather. And it disassociates. So regardless of the size of the pelts or the raw hides, all leather is leather. So you can take huge hides, you can take small hides, doesn't matter the size, it just makes like leather units that you can then turn into things. And leather is useful for a lot of stuff, as you can see. It's useful for backpacks, it's useful for saddles, it's useful for armor, it's useful for bows, it's useful for belts, it's useful for pouches, it's useful for quivers and sheaths, and you name it, it's useful. So getting leather is really, really, really necessary for progression, because basically all armor that I'm going to want requires leather to some degree or another. Because there are armors that I could use now, they would just suck, which is why I haven't bothered. So there's improvised armor, which is just like sticks and hay. It's protection tier 0. It's basically to do nothing for me. I guess it gives me a little bit of cooling. I mean, I could use it, but it's worthless. There's lamellar armor, which is pelt-based armor, but it's like also not great. It's protection tier 0. There's metal lamellar armor. So like this is the copper version, which is protection tier 1. The reason why I haven't bothered with that is most of the wild animals that are going to cause me trouble are tier 2 animals. So there's no real point in my mind to have protection tier 1 gear. So I could do lamellar bronze. That would be protection tier 2. The thing is, chain, even bronze chain is got much lower penalties than lamellar. So if I was gonna make armor, it would probably be, at this point I have iron, it would probably be iron chain. Now that I actually found iron, there's no point in making bronze armor, because iron chain is protection tier 3, and that's going to let me shrug off hyenas, shrug off boars, tank bears. It's very good stuff. But all right, I digress. Back to the leather making. So in order to make the leather, I need the barrels, and then I need something that makes tannin. So tannins are made with oaks, acacias, and I am surrounded by oaks and acacia trees, so that's like no problem at all. So let's make the barrels. And I think I don't know where I want to place the barrels. Maybe here. Just right here. At some point I'll probably have like a leather making area, designated area. Near my butchery, I just don't have that yet, so it's gonna be here. I'm just gonna like cover it with rammed earth so that it doesn't become rain barrels, because I don't need rain barrels. I want 10 barrels. And the reason to start this is it takes in order to make strong tannin, you have to make weak tannin first. So, it's a bit of a lengthy process. Also, I'm just going to dump this blood and not make a new bucket. So the real barrier for me to start this in earnest is finding borax or some stone that I can grind for lime. If you want to lose your mind, you can forage for shells, because ground up shells do generate lime. They just don't generate enough lime that I think it's worth doing unless you find yourself on a beach full of shells in every direction as you know, every direction you look. So there's the caveat of, like, maybe you find enough shells, but, like, I doubt I will. So that's not the route I'm taking. Alright, so I know that there's a bunch of oak trees over here. Let's go cut down some oaks. And some of the oaks that do not have edible mushrooms on them. Because if it has edible mushrooms on it, I want to leave it alone. Also, I'm extraordinarily bad at pulling fish out of the out of my weir traps before they're just, like, absolutely ruined. And instant rot. I like how it's just giving me dead fish. And yes, I know I can make fertilizer out of the rot. I just haven't. So, whatever. If I'm cutting down oaks, I'm actually going to make a few more bone axes. Because the oak trees are massive and it's going to take a while to cut down, so it would be good if I had, like, a whole bunch of axe heads ahead of time. Realistically, like, making bronze wouldn't be that hard, but I'm lazy, so... I'm lazy in the wrong way. Honestly, I probably should just make one. Because the other thing I need to do with a lot of the oaks is probably make another batch of charcoal, because I'm down to just a few, just like 10 charcoal left, and that's not much. So that's yet another thing to do with my with the oaks that I'm cutting down. Don't you still have to fill a reed chest? Fill with... Do I have a reed chest full of oaks? No, I don't. I don't have any oak wood at all. Once I'm actively mining, I don't want to see prospecting on my minimap. Here's walnut. I've been building in walnut, so maybe I'll leave that walnut tree for other reasons. So this oak does not have any plant markers on it. What I mean by that is if I wouldn't want to cut down an oak tree that grows like shiitake or reishi mushrooms or something like that, because oak trees that can have edible mushrooms should be left so that I can have edible mushrooms for free. So I only want to cut down oak trees that have like funeral bells on it, no mushrooms, or pink bonnets, or some mushroom that, like, obviously I don't care about. But I also didn't want to necessarily cut down a 2x2 oak, because that would take like a day with a flint flint tool. So probably while I'm making the tannins, I'll make a batch of charcoal, because charcoal takes a few days, and might as well just use up the firewood now for it. Because if I'm going to be making iron at any point, I'm gonna want a lot of charcoal for the blooms, the bloomery. Wonder how many of my axes this will break. If you're wondering what I'm referencing, if one tool isn't enough and you have extra tools, it will use up durability from your other tools. So I broke the axe I was holding and 2 other full axes in the process. Because this axe is basically broken. 17 out of 70. And then multiple axes in my inventory disappeared. Which means I broke a lot of axes. Also, why did I take my pelts with me? That was dumb. That was a big tree. That was a big tree. I'll have to come back for the other oak, because, you know, I don't want to just leave it. So, I'll come back before it despawns. I could do something like a 5x5x5 charcoal pit. Yeah. We'll see how much what I end up with at the end of this. So if you look at the guide for leather making, it's going to tell you, in order to make like weak tannin is just oak logs in a barrel. So, because I have 50 liters, it's 5 per barrel. So 10 of these oak logs are going straight into the barrel. And then another 5 will have to be going to a barrel for the strong tannin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is weak tannin. So I'm making 2 barrels of weak tannin, and then one of these barrels will become strong tannin at the end of it being weak tannin. And then the rest of this oak is just going to the box for now. As well as, yeah. Because I'm going to need room for the rest of the oaks. Now, I did mention that I had a bunch of pelts. And I really should make those pelts into hunter backpacks or something, because running around with reed baskets suck. Oh. I'm an idiot. Luckily, I have, like, pit kilns. Easy to light torches on. That again. And avoid the deep water. If you're wondering, if you, like, look at water and then I look down at the ground, it will extinguish, even in 1 meter deep water. Like, it takes into consideration, like, the angle of your body. Oh, the uptime's not working. Sorry about that. I got to update the command. At least part of me was smart and put a torch down where I was cutting the tree. Made it easy to find the rest of the oak. And goodness, do I have a lot of, Oh, have I even been down here? No? I see why I haven't gone any further. But, I'm gonna do a quick, node search. See if there's, like, silver or gold here. Not that I need it, but just to check. Native gold in trace amounts. So there's gold here. There's gold in them hills. We are indeed at the halftime. Oh, it's just flowers. Yeah, that smoke looks pretty cool at night. It does, like, occasionally make me slightly panic, not gonna lie, that, like, I somehow set my base on fire. which is obviously not true. But, whatever. Alright, so I got my tannin barrels going. I'm not going to want to use up all of the oak, because some of the other oak has to be reserved for strong tannins. But I've got... I got a lot of oak wood that could become charcoal. So, even though you didn't necessarily vote for this, I'm planning on making a charcoal pit now before I need it. So, let's just do this primitive style and dig like a hole in the earth. I think I'm going to do a 2x2, or 2x3 or 3x3x2. Sorry, it took me 1,000 times to say that correctly. So we'll just fill this with firewood and light the fire up there. I could probably go bigger. Actually, forget it. I'll do 3x3x3. Go big. I'll have enough wood for it. All right. I'm going to need to make more axes. Now, even when I have metal axes, I typically do not use metal axes to chop up my firewood, because it uses a lot of durability, and like flint bone axes are just probably a better use to batch firewood, in my opinion. Oh, that's a shovel head. Well, I'm about to... no, forget that. Whatever. It's easier just to make the shovel head. So I don't know, maybe you're the same, and you don't use up your nice axes for firewood. That'd be another cool thing for a health hammer, for like a firewood splitter. Some sort of automated firewood splitter. You could also potentially use a like a bamboo water firewood splitter. I wonder if anyone ever makes them like that. I have no idea. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Or are you lost in the weeds? Where you have like a water hammer, I guess, is what it would be called, maybe? Because that would be another cool project. Or another cool thing to design in Vintage Story is like a water hammer. A water hammer is when you've got like a... when you have running water filling something, where when it hits, it's on a pivot point, or God, all of the words are escaping my brain. And you hit a critical mass, and it dumps the water and creates like a concussive force. And I know I'm explaining it extraordinarily wrong. A fulcrum, or yeah. And in order to take advantage of a water hammer, water power in that way, to create like a cutting force, like a wood splitter. I'm sure it has like a technical term. I'm just totally blanking on what that term might be. All right, firewood time. One of the beautiful things about having a chest. I'm just filling it up. So I'm going to do all but 16. There we go. We got a chest full of firewood now. Water wheel piston motion makes a lot more sense. But what I'm referring to is like a more primitive style of that. It's not that it exists, it would just be cool if it did. Some sort of like seesaw water hammer. In order to cut firewood automatically or something like that. I don't think it would strictly be necessary in the scope of Vintage Story. It would just be a neat thing to be able to build. Oh, we're getting some daylight. Did I make the 3x3 too big? Yes, I think I did. So I'll do a 3x3x2. I don't have enough wood for the 3x3x3. Easy enough to layer on a layer of dirt at the top. The biggest thing about making charcoal is you cannot have empty space, no air gaps. So every single stack needs to be a full stack. You can't have air anywhere or it will be an incomplete burn and you will not get firewood. You will get screwed. Or you will not get charcoal, rather. You will get just a full burn and lose everything. Big suck. So, yeah, don't do it. So yeah, we're changing the scope of this because I'm not gonna have enough. I could cut more, but yeah, I'm just gonna do it like this. Smaller is fine. So I have one spot that needs to get filled in with more firewood. Don't worry, I know you don't need to panic. I know how charcoal works, and it looks like the pit cones are done, so I'll be able to start roofing soon. Alright, so we kept 7 of it from being burnt. Also, while I'm here, let's get 1 dry grass. Cool. Nope. Wrong. $24, $32, wait, what? Oh, because it went back in my inventory. Alright, so there we go. Build a campfire. Wait a minute. Why do I have 4 extra? The fact that I have extra wood makes me a little worried. No, I don't think I have it. Well, let me double check everything. Trust but verify. Even if it breaks a shovel. Yeah. So there's no air gaps. I was just double checking because I had like a weird amount of firewood left. They were in the trunk originally, yeah. I had brought some to put up in my fire pile, but then I worried that I had more extra than I had anticipated. But it's fine. Light it and cover it. Done. There's my pit. Okay, cool. Now we are all set to start shingling, I think. So back to the smithy. So here's my fire shingles. My sexy shingles in my area. Looking to mingle under my roof. I apologize for nothing. Oh yeah, it's funny. You can cook them in 48s, but they stacked to 64. I was like, wait, well, what? Why don't? Where's my extra? No, I just miscounted. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Primitive Survival, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rudamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rudamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, fellow survivors.